Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Inside the Fight, pre-fight UFC 167. George St. Pierre versus Johny Hendricks for the welterweight title. This
what a
card.
The 20th anniversary
of the
UFC. And what a card they have.
They have a stack card. And then I mean stat, I mean even the prelims have amazing fights on them.
Yeah, it does.
And you know, we're not going to go through all the fights here. You can check out the slides. We're going to have full previews and predictions. But we're going to take 3 fights from the main card. First fight we're going to look at is Robbie Lawler taking on Roy McDonald. What a fight that's going to be. I hate Roy McDonald. Wait, I shouldn't say hate. I dislike Roy McDonald now.
He is a little weird.
He's boring, and he is a student of George St. Pierre, and I don't like it. You know, he says, I'm not going to fight George St. Pierre. He's in my camp. You know, he's a wrestler. He lays on people. I don't like that. It's boring. So I'm going for Robbie Lawler in this fight. You know, he has shown massive improvement since his good old days when he was in the UFC before. Now he's back in the UFC. He has showed great takedown defense. What's your opinion on that fight?
Robbie Lawler, the fight he had against Josh Koscheck, I was really surprised. I thought Josh Koscheck was going to steamroll him. But he showed a very good sprawl. He was able to get back on his feet when he did get taken down. And he forced Josh Koscheck to stand with him. And Robbie Lawler, I don't know, maybe getting back into the UFC has breathed new fire under him, or maybe it's the drop to welterweight. I'm not sure exactly what has happened, but this Robbie Lawler looks a lot better than the Strikeforce Robbie Lawler that we've been watching, and I definitely am. I still think he's the underdog in this fight, but I mean, he was the underdog in the Josh Koscheck fight too, and he did it. He's definitely very exciting. He's still actually very young, even though we've known him for so many years.
He was there a long time ago.
You know, he's like another Vitor, almost younger than Vitor, but you know that he started so young, and I definitely would like to see him win. With that said, Roy McDonald.
No, don't say it.
He does seem like he's the real deal, and the way he nullified Ellenberger, as boring as it might have been. I mean, it's up to your opponent to make you fight.
You know how they do fight of the year?
Yes.
That was boring as fight of the year.
But the thing is, if you have a strategy that can definitely stop your opponent, and your opponent can't do anything about it, can you blame him?
You know what? You're right. I can't blame him. But
that's the thing.
He should look into the book of John Finch. And you know where he is at now. You know, John Finch, talented fighter. But he will not be back in the UFC.
Well, but here's the thing. A lot of people always like to say that, well, if you're a boring fighter, you're never going to get top shot. You will, eventually, if you just keep winning. You want to be boring and do a safe fighting style, that's fine, as long as you keep winning. The problem is that once you lose all your momentum, completely. This is the case that happened with Machida and John Finch. Both of them have been accused of having extremely boring fighting styles. I love Machida. I think his technical wizardry when he's in there. But if his opponent doesn't come at him, then yeah, sometimes it is really slow. And John Finch pretty much was the master of never going for a finish and just do the safe approach, and that's it. But he was really good at it. Rory McDonald, he does train with George St. Pierre, and George St. Pierre hasn't had a finish in a long time. I mean, Ellenberger was a dangerous opponent, and I think Rory's other matches were semi-exciting. They were not bad. The fight against Carlos Condit, which he did lose. His BJ Penn fight just broke my heart, watching BJ Penn get destroyed. But
you know what? You know, I had to speak on that fight because it annoyed me when I read people's comments saying that, oh my God, BJ Penn is done. I mean, you know, Roy McDonald picked him apart. Roy McDonald looked like twice the size of BJ Penn.
He did. And one of the biggest welterweights. And
he's a big welterweight. Yeah, like I said, I dislike Rory McDonald. I'm not going to discredit his skills. He is a very talented fighter. Mm-hmm. I just don't like his style of fighting. But like that said, you know, he is going in here as a student of George St. Pierre. He won't fight George St. Pierre, so you know.
So that's why you don't want him to win.
And that's one of the reasons why I don't want him to win, because he's just going to block other potential contenders.
Yeah, I mean, that's understandable. It's the same situation when it came to
Velasquez and Cormier.
But with that said, I do think that Rory will win. But I would be happy if you know, Robbie Lawler could pull it out and KO Rory and kill the hype train. So I'm going with Rory.
Yeah, I'm going with Robbie.
Okay.
Robbie. Okay, so now we're going to jump into the co-main event. The American gangster himself, Chael Sonnen, taking on Sugar Rashad Evans.
Yeah. The battle of the Fox Sports 1 commentators.
Well, analysts.
Oh, analysts, sorry.
You know, I'm going to say right now, I think Rashad's done.
Really?
I don't think he has the heart to be in there anymore. You know, he has come out there, shown me nothing since he left his last camp with Craig Jackson. He has not been the same fighter. He doesn't look the same fighter.
He's been with Black Zillions?
You know, now I know Black Zillions has been on a record streak right now with amazing wins.
Yeah, they had a bad start, but they've been winning.
He could turn it around. You know, I won't discredit him. I don't think he's winning this fight, though.
Why not?
I think Chael Sonnen has proved to everyone that, you know, he could take a shot. That's definitely for sure. You know, his wrestling should counter out Rashad's wrestling. And like I said, I don't feel Rashad is a threat in this division anymore. And that's saying a lot, because I follow Rashad ever since the Ultimate Fighter days, all the way now. You know, and you know, he has not been the same fighter in my opinion since that whole John Jones business with him.
Well, I disagree. I do think that Rashad could still, you know, put on a good performance, especially if he's motivated. He did a good job against Dan Henderson, and Dan Henderson's an extremely dangerous opponent. Can't really ask Rashad to take too much risk against someone like Dan Henderson. When it comes to just Rashad versus Chael Sonnen, I think skill-wise, Rashad Evans is the better fighter. I think that he's faster. I think that he has better technical striking, more power in his striking. And I think he probably has slightly better wrestling. But with that said, I think that Chael Sonnen does have the better gas tank, the better chin, and will also be the aggressor in the fight. He will force Rashad to fight. And Rashad has never really shown the greatest of cardios based on the fights I've seen from him. And I do think that Chael Sonnen will upset Rashad Evans. Not because Rashad is done, but because stylistically, I do think that Chael Sonnen is a really good matchup for him. Or against him. Bad matchup for him, should I say. So I'm actually going to go with the American Gangster. I do think that he's going to get his second light heavyweight win, because this is 205. And we'll see what happens from there. Well, who are you picking?
You already know.
Obviously, you think Rashad's done. I don't think he's done, but
well, we will find out. You know, even Dana White has questioned Rashad's heart to continue fighting.
Well, I mean, his loss to John Jones probably, it's possible that, you know, after losing to John Jones, he was scared of John. After he got hit with those elbows, Rashad looked like he didn't want to be there, and he lasted the 5 rounds because he literally didn't engage the rest of the way. So,
well, now let's get to the main event.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who everyone says is the best in the world.
The pound for pound.
Well,
possibly
now,
pound.
because
Best.
George St. Pierre defends the welterweight title against Johny Hendricks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm a big fan of Johny Hendricks. I like Johny Hendricks. I'm gonna go with George St. Pierre, and then, you know, I don't want George St. Pierre to win. I do not want George St. Pierre to win, but stylistically, the matchup just favors him in every way, in my opinion.
Well, a lot of people do think that Johny Hendricks is a good threat to GSP. My issue with Johny Hendricks is that I do think that Josh Koscheck in the Josh Koscheck fight did out wrestle him, or at least looked like the better wrestler. And George St. Pierre is the best MMA wrestler, at least definitely at welterweight. I think the wrestling advantage goes to George St. Pierre. Striking advantage, while Johny Hendricks has that one-punch knockout power, he also has shown, like in the Condit fight, that he doesn't really have a great gas tank. That Condit fight, well, he blasted Condit from pillar to post, if there was any, in the first and second round. In the third round, Johny Hendricks looked like he was pretty much almost done, and Condit hadn't done anything to him. Condit, if that was a 5-round fight, I think Condit not only beats him, he finishes him. So I definitely wasn't impressed with his cardio. I think George St. Pierre will play extremely safe. Shocker, I know. But he'll play extremely safe, and he will then pick Johny Hendricks apart with his jab, and it will pretty much mostly be a stand-up fight. I do think the wrestling will mostly cancel each other out. But if anyone's getting a takedown on somebody, it's going to be George St. Pierre taking down Johny Hendricks.
Well, with that said, like I said, I will love for Johny Hendricks to win this and pull the upset.
I think he has 2 rounds to win this fight. First round and the second round. If it goes to the third round, it's a wrap. George St. Pierre is going to win round 3, 4, and 5.
Now, to me, the key for Johny Hendricks to win this fight is to not go into the mental game with George St. Pierre. I felt like when George St. Pierre fought Josh Koscheck, Koscheck mentally shut down his wrestling game because of fear that he will not be able to take him down.
Are you talking about the first or second?
I'm talking about I believe, the second fight.
I'm not sure if I agree. In the second fight, I believe both of them got maybe 1 or 2 takedowns apiece, and the rest of the way was pretty much just George St. Pierre jabbing Koscheck's eye, which he was blind after the first round.
Now, with that said, though, like I said, for me, Johny Hendricks has to come out here and be an MMA fighter. And now I know he's been talking about he's going to knock out George St. Pierre. That could happen. But you cannot allow George St. Pierre to control this fight. And I mean, you cannot allow him to believe you are not going to use your wrestling. And maybe this is a mind game. Maybe
he mix things up.
He has to mix things up really well.
Yeah, I mean,
because if not, George St. Pierre will take full advantage of his not going for wrestling.
I do believe that George St. Pierre is going to assume that Johny Hendricks is going to come in there and try and knock his block off. So definitely, I mean, if Johny Hendricks shoots him for a takedown at the beginning of the fight, I'll be shocked. So, I mean, that could possibly be a good strategy for Hendricks. But again, I question his cardio. So the more grappling you do, the worse it gets for you, especially in a 5-round fight. He did look a little leaner at the weigh-ins, so maybe he has worked on his cardio, possibly. But if he doesn't have cardio and he doesn't knock out GSP in the beginning of the fight, I don't like his chances at all. I'm going with GSP by unanimous decision.
You said decision. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm going...
That's the safe bet.
Here's what I'm saying. George St. Pierre is going to surprise us all and finish this fight.
Really? How?
Submission victory.
Okay. I don't see it, but...
this is how I'm going to do it. Third round, if the cardio tank isn't there, he's going to take him down and submit him.
No. Couldn't submit Dan Hardy. I don't think he's going to submit Johny Hendricks. So...
well,
I mean, we'll see. But you're picking GSP to win.
I'm picking GSP. So I guess we are just opposite on Robbie Lawler and Roy McDonald. Yeah. So, well, let us know what you guys think. Remember to like this video, share with your predictions, and follow us on Twitter. And we'll be back for the post-fight. And enjoy the fight, guys.
Remember to rate, comment, subscribe.